Good morning, everyone. So, here we are with our next video on destroying others' idols and places of worship. This is in continuation with in the playlist Inhumanity in Islam series. So, we will again follow the same pattern. We will see from the Islamic scriptures what they say about destroying others' idols and places of worship, and then we will see whether Muhammad and his gang actually destroyed other places, and then we will see whether the Islamic invaders to India destroyed others' places of worship and their idols. So let me start sharing. So the first verse I would say is from Quran chapter 22 and verse 30. It says, "That is the command, and whose magnified the sacred things of Allah, it will be well for him in the sight of the Lord. The cattle are lawful unto you, save that which hath been told you. So shun the filth of idols and shun lying speech." So the important sentence over here is, it says to shun the filth of idols. So the idols are filthy, they are dirty. That is the proof from the scriptures that they are calling the idols as filthy. Next, move on to Quran chapter 21, verse 57. It says, "And by Allah, I shall circumvent your idols after ye have gone away and turned your backs." So here he is saying, Muhammad is saying that by Allah, I will bend your idols after you go away and your back is turned. I will, in your absence, I'm going to uh, bend, or what you call mutate your idols. Then he reduced them to fragments, all save the chief of them, that haply they might have recourse to it. They said, see, I'm reading further. So the people who came back, when they found their idols destroyed, they said, "Who hath done this to our gods? Surely it must be some evildoer." They said, "We've heard a youth make mention of them who is called Abraham." So you see that these idols, not only they are filthy, but they went and destroyed their idols and turned them into fragments. So here in Quran chapter 26, we are going to read from verses 69 until 74. "Recite unto them the story of Abraham, when he said unto his father and his folk, What worship ye? They said, We worship idols and are ever devoted unto them. He said, Do they hear you when ye cry? Or do they benefit or harm you? They said, Nay, but we found our fathers acting on this wise." So this is just telling you the story of Abraham, that he went to his father and the people of his father, and he asked them what they worshipped, and when they answered that they worshipped idols, then he said, "Oh, do the idols hear you when you are miserable and you are crying? Do these idols hear you, or do they benefit you in any way or harm you?" And they said, "No, but we found our fathers acting on because they had been just doing idol worshipping just like their forefathers were doing. Now, Quran 37:93, 37 chapter 93rd verse is, then he attacked them, striking with his right hand. So, if we go a little bit back, you will know what context it is. And when they turned their backs and went away from him, then turned he to their gods and said, will ye not eat? So, when they were gone, this person, he went to the idols and he said to the idols, are you not going to eat? What aileth you that ye speak not? What is ailing you that you're not speaking? And then saying so, he attacked them, striking with his right hand. So here again we have seen evidence that Muhammad and his men were destroying the idols, what the people and their forefathers were worshipping. They were going and attacking and destroying those idols. Now let's see from Hadith. Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari are the two authentic Hadith books. And let's find out what Sahih Muslim has to say. So here it is. Amr bin Abasa Sulami reported. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention you. It's Sahih Muslim 832. Hadith number 832. It is the book of prayers. So Amr bin Abasa Sulami reported, in the state of the ignorance, before embracing Islam, I used to think that the people were in error and they were not on anything which may be called the right path and worshipped the idols. Meanwhile, I heard of a man in Mecca who was giving news on the basis of his prophetic knowledge. So I sat on my ride and went to him. The messenger of Allah was at that time hiding, as the people had made life hard for him. I adopted a friendly attitude towards the Meccans and thus managed to enter Mecca and go to him, the Holy Prophet, and said to him, who are you? He said, I am a prophet of Allah. I again said, who is a prophet? He said, I am a prophet in the sense that I have been sent by Allah. I said, what is that which you have been sent with? He said, I have been sent to join ties of relationship with kindness and affection, to break the idols, and to proclaim the oneness of Allah. So you see this man who used to worship idols and he heard about this Muhammad. So he went to Mecca where Muhammad was hiding because many people were not accepting all his false stories. So this man went and asked him, what is a prophet? So he was told by Muhammad that a prophet is a man who has been sent by Allah. And he said, so what is your purpose? And he said, my purpose is twofold. One is to destroy the idols, and the second is uh, I have to join ties of relationship to break the idols and to proclaim the oneness of Allah. So, to proclaim the oneness of Allah is the second goal. The first goal is to break the idols. In a manner, nothing is to be associated with him. I said, who is with you in this belief and practices? He said, a free man and a slave. So at that time, Muhammad only had two people. So he had started his gang. It was the initial days. So he had a free man and a slave. He, the narrator, that means Abasa Sulami, said Abu Bakr and Bilal were there. So Abu Bakr was his friend and Bilal was a slave, were there with him among those who had embraced Islam by that time. I said, I intend to follow you. He said, during these days you would not be able to do so. Don't you see the hard condition under which I and my people are living? You better go back to your people, and when you hear that I have been granted victory, you come to me. So I went to my family. I was in my home when the messenger of Allah came to Medina. So, anyways, so what was important is that here Muhammad is openly telling this man that he had twofold goal objective in his mind. One was to break the idols, and second was to for the oneness of Allah, to proclaim the oneness of Allah. Now let's move on to the idols. This is Bukhari, Sahih Bukhari, Volume 3, Book 43, and number 658. Narrated by Abdullah bin Masud. The Prophet entered Makkah, and at that time there were 360 idols around the Kaaba. He started stabbing the idols with a stick he had in his hand and reciting, "Truth, Islam has come, and falsehood, disbelief has vanished." So here again we see the evidence that Muhammad went and he struck the 360 idols with a stick. So Muhammad, what kind of a person is he who would go and destroy other people's faith when they are not harming anybody? They are just peaceful people worshipping whatever they like. You are going there and destroying their faith. They're destroying their idols by taking a stick and destroying them. This is unbelievable. And no prophet, no person who calls himself a person of God would ever do this. Statues. Let's see this Sahih Muslim 969a and 969b. It's book 11 and hadith number 120. Abul Hayyaz al Asadi told that Ali bin Abu Talib said to him, "Should I not send you the same mission as Allah's messenger sent me? Do not leave an image without obliterating it, or a high grave without leveling it." This hadith has been reported by Habib with the same chain of transmitters, and he said, "Do not leave a picture without obliterating it." So, what he's trying to say is that the same hadith has been reported in numerous books. So, in this one, they have said that do not leave any image without obliterating it, without removing the or destroying the picture, the image. And in another hadith, it says the word picture instead of the word image. So the message is the same that Muhammad had said to everybody to do not leave any place without destroying all the images from that place, without destroying all the pictures. Here again, we see the evidence that Muhammad is destroying other people's beliefs. Now, I'll read to you from the Archaeological Survey of India, which is an authentic source to tell you what the Mughal emperors used to um, do. So, uh, do I have to show you the beginning of the book to show you that it is um, the Archaeological Survey of India? And if you go here, you will see that destroying. Okay, I had found it somewhere. I should not have left it. Now I have to re-find it. Conversion to Islam, blasphemy. Okay, I'll reopen this because when I opened it, it came on the same page. I should have noted down the page. Never mind, I'll open another copy. I'll just move this and then I'll say Islam and the books. And here, I've opened another copy and let's see if that works. Yes. So it's in the chapter number 8 where it talks about Aurangzeb and destruction of Hindu temples. Let me enlarge this for you. So We are not going to read the whole chapter, but I have marked. I hope my marks are there. Yeah. So we'll read from here. About the same time, Aurangzeb's attention turned towards Mathura. Here, many beautiful temples had been raised by the piety of the Hindu Rajas and rich men, particularly during the reign of Akbar and Jahangir. Aurangzeb picked out for attack what looked like a work of repairs in the famous temple of Keshav Rai. Its railing, that had once been made of wood, had long before become too weak to serve any useful purpose. Under Shah Jahan, Dara Shikoh had built at its own cost a railing of stone. Being a work of repairs as well as a new structure, it became an emblem of a Muslim's fall from grace. On 14th October, so what he's trying to say that Dara Shikoh, who was the brother of Aurangzeb, he was interested and he had repaired that railing made it from stone. So it was a mark of disgrace for a Muslim to do that. So on 14th October 1666, its removal by the Faujdar of Mathura was reported to the imperial court. Sometime after the death of Jai Singh, Aurangzeb is alleged to have demolished the Lalta temple near Delhi. So before I go any further, I would like to say that this woman called Audrey Treshke from Rutgers University, she has been misguiding and misleading many young students and telling them that Aurangzeb was a very good king and that he had only ordered to not no new temples to be built, but to not to demolish the ones that stood there. But that is false. She did not read the akhbarat, which are the newspapers, and she did not read this archaeological survey of India, which has this authentic documentation of all the temples that were destroyed, and their with their dates and all the details. So if I go back a little, mm, bef- go back a little behind here, and I start reading from here, that it has been decided according to our canon law that long standing temples should not be demolished, but no new temples will be allowed to build. That's what Audrey Trushke said. But uh, wait here and let's read further. A royal command is that you should always direct that in future no person shall in unlawful ways interfere with or disturb the Brahmins and other Hindu residents in those places. This, however, did not cover military operations. In 1661, Aurangzeb, in his zeal to uphold and what he considered to be the law of Islam, sent orders to his viceroy of Bihar, Daud Khan, to conquer Palamu. In the military operations that followed, many temples were destroyed. So he destroyed many temples, calling it that they were in the military operations. But as we will read further, he went and he actually demolished temples too. So over here it's written that in the military operations, the temples were destroyed, signaling the victories of the Mughal arms. Towards the end of the same year, when Mir Jumla made war on the Raja of Kutch Bihar, the Mughals destroyed many temples during the course of their operations. Idols were broken, and some of the temples were converted into mosques. So from here you can see the deliberate converting of temples into mosques and the idols being broken. That's a deliberate action. It's not like that you went and during the war or the temples by mistake got harmed because of the war, but it was a deliberately done action because they were, had it not been so, they would not have converted these into mosques. Okay, let's read from here because otherwise it will become too long. So, so here we see that another Lalta temple was destroyed near Delhi. It was 3 years later that a general order was issued for the destruction of all the schools and temples of Hindus. On 9 April 1669, it was reported to the emperor that the Brahmins of Sindh, Multan, and particularly of Banaras were using their temples as schools, which attracted students, Hindus and Muslims alike, from great distances. Jahangir had not been able to tolerate even a young Muslim going to a yogi for instruction in religious matters. So you see, Jahangir, now we are going back to Jahangir. From Jahangir times, he did not like the students attaining any information about other religions. It was but natural, therefore, that Aurangzeb should have been upset by such a report. But whereas Jahangir had held the two Muslims concerned guilty and punished them, Aurangzeb gave an order for the punishment of those whose only offense was the imparting of religious education to those who came to them. So here it's just trying to say that although Jahangir punished the two Muslim students who went to the Hindu place to get education, uh, unlike that, Aurangzeb actually punished the people who were imparting this education. So he punished the Hindus. So Aurangzeb was very very fanatic, and he punished the Hindu teachers. Orders were now sent to the governors of all provinces that they should destroy the schools and temples of the infidels and put an end to their educational activities as well as the practices of the religion of Kafirs. The Graf, who was at Hooghly in 1670, heard about these orders and reported. So this is an independent person who was during that time he was present there in 1670, and it is his writing that in the month of January all the governors and native officers received an order from the great Mughal prohibiting the practice of pagan religion throughout the country and closing down all the temples and sanctuaries of idol worshippers in the hope that some pagans would embrace the Muslim religion. So here you see that now uh, I have not marked this because this is a lot. So let's read from here. Soon after the order was issued, reports of the destruction of temples from all over the empire began to arrive. A royal messenger was sent to demolish the temple of Malarina, now in Jaipur, but probably then included in the imperial district of Ajmer, in May 1669. In August 1669, the temple of Vishwanath at Banaras was demolished. So you see, so many temples have been demolished, and their names are given and their dates are given. The presiding priest of the temple was just in time to remove the idols from the temple and to throw them into a neighboring well, which thus became a center of pious interest ever after. The temple of Gopinath in Benares was also destroyed about the same time. He is alleged to have tried to demolish the Shiva temple of Jangambadi in Benares. The tradition has it that his attempt failed because of the opposition which the heavenly hosts of Shiva threatened to put up if he persisted in his designs. Then came the turn of the temple of Keshav Rai at Mathura, built at a cost of rupees 33 lakh by Rao Bir Singh Bundela in the reign of Jahangir. It had excited the envy of many Muslims before Aurangzeb, who, however, had not Aurangzeb's opportunities and power. It had been built after the style of the famous temple at Brindaban, which Man Singh had built at a cost of 5 lakh, so 500,000. But Bir Singh had improved upon his model and spent more than 6 times as much as Man Singh had lavished on his shrine at Brindaban. It had become a center of pilgrimage for the whole of India. The idols, studded with precious stones and adorned with gold work, were all taken to Agra. So you see, here they are not only destroying the temples, they are stealing away the gold of the temples. So the idols studded with precious stones and adorned with gold work were all taken to Agra, and they are buried under the steps of Jahanara Mosque. And that is like defiling. Like under the step, you are burying somebody's idol. We worship the idols, and you are taking the something we worship, you are putting under the step of a mosque. So that is to degrade and humiliate the Hindus. The temple was leveled to the ground, and a mosque was ordered to be built on the site to mark the acquisition of religious merit by the emperor. No wonder that this struck consternation in the Hindu mind. The priests of the temple of Govardhan, founded by the Vallabhacharya, sought safety in flight. Poor fellow, he had to run away for his life. The idols were removed, and the priest softly stole out in the night. Imperial territories offered no place of safe asylum either to the god or his votaries. But he had no safe place. Nobody can give him shelter because those people will be also under the sword of Aurangzeb. Their life was threatened too. After an adventurous journey, they at last reached Jodhpur. Maharaja Jaswant Singh was away on imperial errands. His subordinates in the state did not feel strong enough to house the god who might have soon excited the wrath of the Mughal emperor. Damodar Lal, the head of the priesthood in charge of the temple, sent Gopinath to Maharaja Raj Singh to beg for a place to be able to serve his religion in peace. The Sasodia prince extended his welcome to Damodar Lal. The party left Champasani on 5 December 1671 and was royally received by Maharaja Raj Singh on the frontiers of his state. It was decided to house the god at Sihar, and with due religious ceremony, the god was installed on 10 March 1672. Excuse me. Um, Mewar thus became the center of Vaishnavism in India. The tiny village of Sihar has now grown into an important town, which, named after the god, is now known as Nathadwara. At Kankroli in Udaipur state, another Vaishnav idol of Krishna, similarly brought down from Vrindavan, had been housed a little earlier. It forms another, though less famous, shrine of Vaishnavism in India today. Thanks to Aurangzeb's religious zeal, Udaipur state became a new Vrindavan to the devotees of the Bhakti cult. And that's why, because these idols were stolen from one place by the priest, like they were not stolen, the right word would be they were safely removed because they don't want to be desecrated by Aurangzeb and his men. So these priests had to travel and under very daring feats they performed, they took these idols across the state and established them elsewhere, and that place became a place of worship then. So there are numerous accounts, like you can read the whole chapter. In Gujarat, the Hindus of Surat discovered an ingenious method of saving some of their temples. They agreed to pay for the privilege of keeping them safe. This, however, led to greater demands from the Qazis and the censors, till at last the Banyas began to groan under their extortion. Because, see, all the jizya and all the taxes, Hindus are they were not employed higher in the state of Aurangzeb and his men. Like they only formed very low positions, so they were not able to afford to keep paying taxes, and these taxes were very high. As we have seen in the previous video, how much jizya was being charged from a poor man was like 9 mons of wheat. That was his entire food for 1 year, and they used to charge that in tax. So the poor people became all Muslims because they could not pay those taxes, and the other alternative was to get killed. So to save themselves, they had to convert, and this was the same strategy. So, anyway, so we can read this whole. We got a glimpse of how these temples were attacked, and you can read further to know what all temples were attacked and what all happened. But I have just given a glimpse as an example that yes, these people had destroyed the Hindu temples and they had desecrated the idols, they had stolen all the jewelry of the idols, and they had even hurt the Hindus by putting these idols under the steps of the mosque, and many of the temples were converted into mosques. See, Aurangzeb to have ordered the Seva temple to be demolished and then converted into mosque, and the temples of Gayaspur near Bhilsa and the temple of Khondai Roy in Gujarat were also destroyed. And how is this ordinary Trishke saying all these mean things? She's hurting the Hindus again, and she will be really punished. She'll be punished by God for hurting Hindu sentiments and having a false narrative. She's a liar. Over here, we see that in the Sarkar of Sirhind, the Sikh temple was demolished and converted into a mosque. An imam was appointed who was subsequently killed. Several other Sikh temples were also destroyed. In Orissa, sometime before 1670, the temple at Kedarpur was demolished and converted into a mosque. So you see so many. And he stopped the public worship at the Hindu temple of Dwarka. See, Aurangzeb urged the appointment of an officer on special duty in order to destroy the Hindu temples in Maharashtra. So all over India, they were destroying temples. And then Aurangzeb conquered Karnataka and in the south, and he allowed the famous temple at Tirupati there to stand because of the revenue he was getting from there. But he destroyed the temples at Mayapur, Haridwar, and Ayodhya, and all of them were like too many worshippers were there. Um, so, so I should have read up till here. That's why I marked here. Some Hindu temples built in the region of reign of Aurangzeb are known to exist in the town of Bishalpur in Bengal. These temples date back to his reign according to the inscriptions to be found on them. There were two built in 1681 and one was built in 1690. As the Sanads and Parvanas preserved in various revenue record offices in Bihar illustrate grants continue to be made occasionally to Brahmins, Bairagis, Bhatts, and Mathadeshis in that province at least till 1699. Occasionally, an earlier grant was reduced in value. So now it talks about Aurangzeb and the Sikhs, which we have read that so many 20,000 Sikhs who are said to have been killed while being escorted out of Punjab died. So, anyways, we can read all this whole chapter, and that's not my intention to read the whole chapter. You can read it at your own leisure, and my main purpose was to tell you that not only it is written in Quran and Hadith that Muhammad has asked all the idols to be destroyed, all the pictures and images to be destroyed, and he called the idols as filth. He destroyed himself. Muhammad took a stick and destroyed 360 idols. And then we see that this carried forward in all the Muslim invaders to India. They destroyed and looted the Hindu temples. They destroyed the Hindu temples, and they also converted them into mosques, and they hurt Hindu sentiments and desecrated the idols. They put it under the mosque steps, and those who were very, very, very few were allowed to be kept, but then heavy revenue was charged from them. So I would like to end my stream here. I hope you have come to know that Islam is not tolerant of other religions. In fact, he calls them devilish, and he asks them to destroy other people's faiths, and they would go at any length to destroy your faith. It is they are not secular at all. They believe in destroying your idols, and if they are in majority, say 30 or 40% also, they will start exercising these Islamic cult rituals, and they will destroy you. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. And for supporting me, at least pass on this information to two other people. Thank you.